Hey y'all, this is Brittany with Post Point Closings. I've had a couple people ask me about the system I use for transaction coordination purposes. I personally use Open to Close. This is I don't even know if I'd say sister company, the upgraded format of TC Workflow. It is, to me, it's really great. It does have quite a bit of a setup process, but if you understand how the system works, you would know why the setup process is kind of complex. This is just going to be kind of a brief overview, not an in-depth video. It's just kind of showing you day to day like what this can do and what it looks like. So hopefully when you're setting it up, you have a bigger picture idea of what it's capable of. So this is my property section. This is like the entire, all of my properties together. This is not tabled out into segments or anything yet. This is again just the very, I guess so to speak, beginning of what you're looking at. This here is called a health bar. This is showing me what's red in some of my properties or things that need to be done. You can simply quickly look at these and it'll give you the priorities of things that need to be done here. I also use this view to kind of get an overall picture, but I also have this, if you've ever watched David Breckenheimer's course on a whiteboard, or if you're familiar with what a whiteboard is, I have also made segments to make my properties look like a whiteboard. So for example, this table over here, you can filter this out by contract status, contacts, team users, etc. For me, I have this filtered out by the file open date, and then all of this post-close, pre-close, financing, and title. So these are all the segments I have. So basically this is all my properties. If I go over here to segments, I broke this down into smaller sections. So this is when I have a property in an opening process, which is basically just getting the intake form and sending out initial emails. I have an inspection phase for obviously our due diligence period, inspections. I have a financing and title when we're going through a lender, making sure the appraisal is done, etc. A pre-close and a post-close phase. So if I open one of these, so we'll do inspection. This is what my whiteboard is going to look like. So I have filtered this out again based on my fields. So this is going to show me the inspection phase, whether or not we have due diligence money. If I need a check or a receipt, here's where it's red. You can change these to either be whatever you have had them to be filled out. You can change the color. So basically the whiteboard is giving me an overall glance of, okay, I have checked money and receipts for all of the properties that are green, but for these 4 or 5, I still need to get them done. This is very helpful, again, to just kind of have an overall big picture. A lot of people use this for time blocking as well. So they'll do, let's say Tuesday at 2 o'clock, they're going to check in to see if any of these properties, if we have the receipts or checks for them. I don't do that a lot. I just like to have the overall big picture. I don't do a lot of task batching. So that is one thing. Again, you can make these tables over here with this section on the side. You can use this segment section to create these. Okay, so then we're going to go over to our tasks. We are going to have this is the new style that Open to Close just put out with the task form. It's very similar to TC Workflow. So this is going to show me basically a mix of my property. So you'll see here like 2925 Nelson Road, then you have Christiana over here. So it's all of your properties, what tasks are past due, and then what tasks are due today, what are due tomorrow, 2 days, etc. This is obviously, again, based on the information you're putting into your system. So this is great if you just want to see like what tasks did need to be completed today. You can kind of go through these quickly, get these done and get out and then be finished. So let me go ahead and go into one of these properties because I know a lot of you are asking like day to day, what do these things look like? How is this going to work, etc. Let me see. I'm going to check one of my properties. Okay, so I'm going to go into this one here. So one of my tasks today says send my co-broke and the seller signed DD check and receipt. So I actually don't have this yet, but just for the video purposes, I'm going to go ahead and execute this task. You can do this one of two ways. You can check this box here and it's going to say complete task. It's going to shoot it up to your health bar, add email to health bar queue. You're going to click your health bar and it's going to say, hey, you still need to send out this email. So here's how I can press send, or I can press edit. I personally like to check everything before I send it. If you're very confident in your templates, go for it and just press send. But I'm going to edit mine, press yes. And it's just going to have my pre-filled template. It's going to the co-broke. It's CCing his admin or TC. It's going to say, this is the title that I've still made it to pull. And it's going to say, hey, Trey, find attached receipt of money for the above referenced property. If you have file roles already attached, it could automatically pull the DD receipt if you've uploaded it into this property, and it would pull it into this email. I don't do that for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to go into. But again, if you have those things set up, that would also already be pulled, and you would simply press send and then you're finished. Now, if you go over here to look at my field section, this is kind of like an overview of your fields. This is how my whiteboard is set up. So like I showed you over earlier in that whiteboard, I have an opening process, I have a inspection phase, I have a financing and title phase, and the segments are broken down into these. All of these are coming in through your field sections, which I will do, again, a quick overview. It's going to be way too time consuming to have all that done. But the fields also help you when you're implementing your emails and your templates. Up here, and so again, for this particular property, we were just talking about the documents. I told you if you have file roles set up, they would be living here. So you'd have your documents, amendments, referral agreements, your MLS, any documents could come in through here. You would either, you can upload them by the folders, you could have them come in through your dotloop if you have dotloop connected. There's a lot of ways to do that. Again, because this is an overview, we're not going to go into that. Over here, you would have your APIs. So like a lot of times we would have our dotloops, our agents dotloop connected to this and pull the documents in through that way. You can also, we use SkySlope for compliance. It's great to use that as well. Just note you can't have two APIs set up at the same time. So if you want to use compliance in the end, like for SkySlope, you would need to disconnect dotloop and connect SkySlope. Contacts here. Again, everything that you're putting into this property is how your templates are being pulled. So the email you just saw me send to the co-broke, the reason it knew who to send it to is because I have Trey McGovern as the buyer's agent. So in my email template, it's going to say, send this to the buyer's agent and also CC on all buyer's agent. And so then I had her as CC on all buyer's agent, which is why it knew exactly who to send that email to. And the same thing for your field form. In my email, it says, buyer's agent, here's the copy of the DD receipt. I labeled Trey as the buyer's agent, which is why it sends to him. So let's go briefly over to the field section. That's over here in templating. So you can either do templates, actually, so it's in this hammer icon and then down to field editor. These are all your fields. You can add a section, you can add fields, you can edit the fields. So this is actually going to edit this transaction details if you want to name it something else. You can click each field that you want. You can delete some of them, you can't delete, but some of them you can. So you can delete some, you can add some. You can kind of make this work for whatever you need it to do. So I have taken the time to implement all of these. So I have a transaction detail section, I have a property detail section, an opening process. Again, this is so I can get a quick glance, have my intro emails been sent, has my home inspection been scheduled, et cetera, et cetera. Some of these, like your due diligence money, just like we had in that email that you just saw, this is the merge field. So I'll show you in my email this is what it's going to look like. And so the due diligence money or the due diligence money date is going to have a merge field, and that's how it's going to know what date depending upon what you put in. Or let's make this even simpler and say, let's see. Yeah, we'll just take a pause on that. But the due diligence money is the field section. This is also how you can, do you want this to show up on your field, on your property? So when you saw my property section on the left-hand side, it will say, do you want to show it or not? This is the, how do you want this selection? Do you want it to be able to say yes and no? Then you would say yes if there's a multiple selection option. If there's not, you would say no. On the intake form, do you want this to have radio buttons? So instead of having to have a drop-down menu, I always do radio buttons. Do you want them to be stacked? Yes, because again, that's going to be quicker. This is also where you would add in, what options do you want for due diligence money? For me, I want to know, is there due diligence money? Yes or no. So then that's how I'm filling this field out. So then if there is a due diligence money, yes, I'm going to say, okay, then there should be a due diligence money date as well. Okay, and then that's the merge field here. So now let's go over to my email section. And I'm going to type in due, it might be DD, but let me see. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to request DD. Actually, we're going to do this instead. So this is one of my email templates. This is where the merge fields come in, where you just were in the field section. So I want this to say listing under contract and whatever my contract title is, which the contract title is typically the address. Here is where, just like you saw in that email, it knows exactly who to send it to. If I'm sending a listing under contract to my buyer, then obviously I want my buyer checked. Who do I want CC'd? I want my buyer's agent or anyone that we're going to require to be CC'd on all buyer. So for example, you know, Clark is selling his house and his daughter Jane wants to be CC'd on every single email. I would make a file role, not a file role, I'm sorry, a field template that says, or no, a contact that said CC on all buyer, and we would be able to add that person on all the emails. Then here it says merge right here, dear buyer first name. Again, this is a merge field. Dependent upon who I make a buyer, the buyer, it's going to pull the buyer's first name, again, depending upon how we input our contracts, and it's going to know exactly what to put in here. Buyer's agent first name. So you can see all the merge fields here. We have smart blocks in here, which I'm not going to go over that because that's very, very, very in depth. If you're starting off with your emails, this is where you pull your merge fields. So again, the contact roles, that's what I was telling you about the CC on all buyer. So I've created contact roles that say CC on all buyers, CC on all buyers attorney, because there's, you know, people, let's say paralegals, there's admins that you want to make sure you're CCing on all seller's agent, etc. So that's where these fields are coming in, is from your contact roles. Your fields, that's going to be some of these merge fields here, like buyer's agent first name, or no, I'm sorry, the buyer's agent actually is going to be under contact role as well. Let's see. This was not a good example because I have smart blocks in this one. But fields here, you can use anything. So like closing confirmed date. I have a DD received date, due diligence money date. So like, for example, I have an email that goes out and it says your due diligence money is due on this date. So it's going to have a merge field in my email that's going to tell me, dependent upon what date I put in, it's going to put that in the email. I hope this is making a little more sense. And then basically what you need to understand about open to close is it takes a long process because of how many moving parts there are. So as you just saw, I need to think of things like field roles, contact roles, documents, and I would just start somewhere. The first place I think I started was my field. No, actually I take that back. I don't know that I started. I think I started with my templates. So I started with my checklist templates. That's how I got started. So my task templates. It does take a lot of working through, but just start there. So basically I have a checklist for everything I need. So my buyer residential contract to close checklist. This is basically whatever your tasks are. If you have a piece of paper, if you use Trello, whatever you use, this is my task. And I started going in one by one, adding my tasks. I didn't even put property dates or anything else in there at the time. I would suggest you do that because it makes it a lot easier than going back. But if you want to just put the tasks in for now and then think about the rest later, then do that. So for example, this is a buyer. So send offer to purchase to attorney. Okay, so that's what the task is. Send offer to attorney. Okay. When do you want it to be due? Conditional date. Do you want it to be due this as on a property date? Okay. Let's say we want it to be due the same day as what? I personally want it the same day that I open my file. That needs to be done immediately. So I'm going to put same day as file open. Okay. Now, if you want it due on a different day, that's fine. If you don't have that option, then you have to go back into your field section under transaction details and create a new field under this. So, oops. I'm just going to give you a side by side so you can kind of follow along. Under transaction details, okay? When do I want this due? File open, contract agreement, home inspection date, septic inspection. That is all going by this, see? If there's a date on here that doesn't apply to you or that you want to add, like, I can't even think of one, but you can add that here. You would add that field here, and then the next time you tried to start a new task, it would pop up in this option box, okay? Then you have a weekend roll, federal roll, etc. So that's what I would first do, is set up all your tasks. Your buyer contract to close, your seller contract to close, if you do listings, if you have whatever else, okay? After you do your tasks, I would start your email templates, because think about your task templates, okay? For me, I have emails that go out with each of these. So when I send the offer to the attorney, I want an email to be attached to this task. So that's where your triggers come in. And that would be here, this little lightning bolt, okay? And it's going to tell you, add a trigger? Yes, you want to add a trigger. Choose an action. Do you want to have a task? So basically, I always put task completed. That's where I showed you, if you check the box, it'll go up to the health bar. Trigger function, what do you want it to do? Send an email, send a text, add or remove templates? For me, I want it to send an email. So you're going to press add. Now it's going to say it's grayed out. You need to click this to on, and you're going to put your email button. Now it's asking me, what do you want the email to be? Either you put one in here, which I would not, or you apply your template. Your templates are going to come from, again, your email template section. So once you create an email template, you can add that email template here as a trigger to the task. And then once you apply it, you'd press close, and then you're done. And then as you see, it's going to go from a blank right here, this one does not have a trigger attached, to this little red lightning bolt here, which I'm going to delete this because I don't want it to do that. Okay, so I would, again, start with your tasks, then do your emails. After you do your emails, I would highly recommend going into your fields. Now, you may find out there are times where you need to make a field to make your email templates work. And that's fine too. For me, it didn't work like that. I did the very basic at the beginning just to kind of get through, and then I tweaked it more and more and more. So my field templates became a lot better over time. You can do the same thing with text. These are my text. You can think of it like an email, but it's going to be a text in a text format. Okay. The other thing that I would highly recommend is doing your intake forms. I personally fill out my intake forms for my agents. I had that recommended to me by another person, Josie Cruz. She's excellent at open to close. If you ever need help, you can hire her. She's helped me multiple times with mine. But she recommended to fill out your own intake form. And the reason that is because if my agents click something wrong in the intake form, it's going to mess up my entire property. And I can't have that. So I would rather them send me a completed contract. I will fill out the intake form myself and make sure that it's correct and know that all my tasks and all my templates and everything that's coming in is going to be correct. And the intake forms are under templates, intake form. I only have two. I have one for contract to close. I have one for a listing. Some people do buyer intake form. Some people do a seller intake form. If you just do one like I do, you have to premium to get more than two, I think. I just use the one, and that's just because it'll just be a little more extensive, which is fine for me. There is a video on intake forms. I would highly recommend you watch it. There's a lot of videos you can use on open to close, as well as, again, Josie, if you follow her, she has a lot of more in-depth intake forms. But this is kind of your detail section. What fields are you going to want on your intake form? Your contacts that you want to have put in there, documents, etc. Form conditions and triggers. This, again, based on what I ask this intake form to do, when I open my property, it is going to completely have all of my checklists and tasks and everything pull in automatically. If you want, I can do a separate video. I don't do my own intake forms. I actually have an assistant who helps me do all the intakes. So I could get a video done where she's doing an intake form and kind of show you overall what it does. If we went to this is what mine looks like. So I choose my team, I choose the user, and then it's going to ask me all these questions based on what I put in. Again, some of these can be radio buttons. This is all field. These are all fields. And this intake form is how I've designed it and what things I want to be required, not required, etc. So if there is a, we always have a due diligence date and closing date. Depending on which agent I click, it's going to have a new task list put in. If there is a home inspection, if there is a home warranty, it's going to pull in home warranty tasks for me. So that's why the intake form is really awesome. If I say yes, there is due diligence money, it's going to ask me the date. If I say no, there's not, it's going to remove that. And these are all things that you would set up via the intake form. And again, dependent upon what I'm clicking throughout this intake form is going to be how my property is set up. So think of, we do that, and then this is how it shows up. So it pulls in all my tasks. It would have all of this filled out based on that intake form that I just did. Okay, and then even my contacts would be pulled in through that intake form as well. Okay. I think that kind of covers the overall big picture. I hope it helped you guys a little bit. If there's something you want to see more specifically, just let me know, and I can try to see if I can get it for you. Again, I would link to, where is, I know they have, might be under help. Support. You can search for articles and videos. Like, what was I telling you? Intake form, was that it? See, so intake form, trigger templates. Some of these are articles, but I know there's a video. And that kind of, again, that helps you with what is an intake form? How do you use them? How does it work? And that can kind of get your, like brain moving towards that direction of what you're doing. Again, gonna plug here the Cruz. Here's a YouTube. It's not that though. What is hers called? It is Optimize, TC Optimize, right? TC Op. Aha. Oh, that's LinkedIn. I don't want that. No, that's still not what I want. Okay, here. So she has, I think, a YouTube, which is what I was trying to find. Oh, see, I don't want alignable. Okay, so I need to find her website. I gotta figure this out. But basically, what I was trying to show you. Here it is. Okay. So see how she has OTC? She's amazing, you guys. I cannot speak of her highly enough. She does have a coaching program coming soon. She also has a getting started. Now, these are like, if you want her to, what am I trying to say? Set them up fully. That's not what I did. I basically did one-on-ones with her. And you'll have to talk to her. I think the one-on-one, so you can hire her for like an hour. See, like quick Zoom meeting, an hour strategy session, which usually that's fine. One-on-one, see, that's like 2.5 hours. So that's much longer. I paid her to help me, and it really did help because she'll send you videos on OTC and like how to set these up and how to get started, and then she'll do like a Zoom call with you so that you can help you, like, again, get started and kind of make TC work, or make open to close what you want it to be. Videos, see, open to close overview, that's a great video for you to watch with her. She also has a lot more, see, virtual whiteboard, she has a lot more in detailed videos. I just highly recommend her again. So anyways, I hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, just let me know if you have any questions or comments. I will see if I can help you guys anymore. Have a good one.